So we're going to do a mantra, and I'm going to read to you about this mantra and what it means. So let me just do this. I've never done, there's a couple of things I need to work on. Hang on for a quick second. And let me see how many people come on. We're going to talk about mantras, because as you know, what I talk about quite often to control the monkey mind are mantras. And I really want to have you connect and understand the origins of these words and where they come from, what they mean, and so forth. And so if you're on a spiritual journey, then, you know, this is an essential part of your spiritual journey to understand mantras. Essential. There's no other way to put it. Ultimately, what you decide to do with this knowledge, I hope, is to teach others around you, especially children. If you have children or grandchildren, I highly recommend that you do, that you teach the mantras. I had a client, I think I should start with that. I had a client who was from Dubai, and he was bereft, as you can imagine. Can you imagine? And I taught him the mantra of to calm his monkey mind. So he was going from Dubai to Paris on an 8-hour flight. He knew his wife was cheating on him with her lover in Paris, in their apartment. He owned this apartment. He was a wealthy man. And he knew that the kids were there. They were all under 10. And he, rather than allow him to let his monkey mind destroy, okay, I gave him 2 mantras. And I also directed him to videos of guided meditation with Dr. Joe Dispenza, so that by the time he landed in Paris and took the taxi and drove up to the apartment, his nervous system was so calm and so objective and so neutral that as he walked up the stairs, knowing her lover was with her, he wasn't going to lose his shit, and he did not. He was very calm. He was very aware of the children. He was very aware of her not seeing it from his perspective and point of view, or her point of view, the children's point of view. By the time, and I used to work for a company, so I never had his actual phone number, and he never had mine, just so you know. And we lost touch, which really broke my heart, because he was such an amazing student. I'm going to be honest with you. It was amazing. By the time I stopped talking with him, because eventually I left the company, his kids knew mantras. His little kids would run around, instead of saying ring around the rosy or the London Bridge is falling down, they were chanting mantras, okay? And so the vibration of his awakening and evolution was multiple fold. One was that he ended up attracting massively amazing women to his side. But we know how twin flame and soulmate, high-level soulmates work, don't we? Even though these women were extraordinary, he still loved his wife. And eventually they reconciled. And I don't know what happened since. But he started seeing his attractiveness, and he didn't take advantage of it. He didn't take a lover. But he realized, wow, I go, well, yeah, because your vibration is so high, for one, not to mention you're a beautiful man, for two. So, of course. But he was able to see that his worthiness through his own eyes and through how he attracted wonderful, powerful, spiritually evolved women. And yet, as we know, right, when you love your high-level soulmate or twin flame, right, there's no replacing that, okay, until the expiration date comes to a point, right, if you know what I'm saying. So I wanted to talk to you about this particular mantra. And if you want to share the life, please do. Because honestly, We need to do better as a community about sharing information with others. And so please share the live. And then I'm going to read to you from the Healing Mantras by Thomas Ashley Farron. And you guys, many of you have all heard this mantra. It's called Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. But what you don't know is what I came across this morning. This is the great mantra, often translated as the jewel of consciousness is in the heart's lotus. Avole Keste Swara is recorded as a spiritual being who reached such a high level of spiritual attainment that it was as if he had climbed the highest hill and then reached the stone fence at the top of that hill. Once he reached this place, Avalokitesvara leaped up onto the stone fence and was about to jump over, after which he would enter a new stage of being altogether and pass forever from humankind. At that moment, he heard a great moan from behind him. Turning around, he beheld the collective unconscious of humanity beginning to grieve for the loss of his presence. Overcome with compassion, he decided to put off his final stage of enlightenment, his final beautification for the sake of sentient beings everywhere. That decision became the Bodhisattva's vow, the vow of service to conscious life everywhere. Many serious Buddhists today take that vow. The depth of seriousness of those who take the vow varies, but if you think about it, every spiritual teacher of mankind must have taken a vow or made a decision similar to this, else why would they come back to help us? Spiritual discipline using the great Mani mantra is done to promote the idea of spiritual advancement combined with services to all sentient life. For the Wesak, chant is knowing that you are putting your metaphysical shoulder to the same wheel the masters and great ones are constantly pushing, the wheel of humanity's spiritual advancement. The word has spread. Since the day in May 1975, when I first started performing the Wesak ceremony, many hundreds of people have attended. At that time, it was only I and the Buddhist organization, as far as I know, that observed the day in a special way for all the work done for us by the followers of the Great Ones. But I'm happy to report that Wesak is now widely observed by many different organizations. Though the manner of observation may vary, what we all have in common is a dedication to the achievement of the common spiritual destiny of mankind. I see that destiny as a unity born of love, when hatred and prejudice, violence and ignorance are finally overcome. If you are so inclined, organize your own Wesak celebration. It does not have to be a large or elaborate. It is written in Eastern scripture that God knows the sentiment of the heart, even when the means are slender. But if you just do one Wesak observance, even out of curiosity, you will have performed a service for us all. I, for one, will be grateful. I have tears in my eyes. This man was so amazing. Such an amazing soul. Now, I have no bloody idea, I'm going to be very true, what Wesak is. So if you'd like, I can read it to you. I can read to you what this means. He's very much based in the good evening from Australia. I'm on a graveyard shift. Oh, it's good to see you. Good to see you, beautiful Andromeda Flame. Good to see you all. So glad you're here. Please share the live if you can, if you're so inclined. I would really appreciate it. I'm sharing it with those that I feel would benefit. Share it with those that you feel would benefit as well. Because we need to do better, my friends. We need to feel like we have a voice and we have the power to escort this planet onto the new earth. Oh, yeah, I am. Encourage more. So, yeah, please share the live. All right. Let me go ahead and read to you spiritual initiation. Okay, let's begin. Spiritual initiation may take any number of forms. One of the most classic methods of initiation involves the transmission of a mantra that has been charged with spiritual energy for the initiator. The mantra is then practiced by the newly initiated so that the spiritual charge grows and grows with him or her. I concluded that the karma pa had initiated me even though I had never studied with him. Since mantras can be handed down in this way from one generation to the next, a spiritual lineage is formed. If one asks the right question, one can trace spiritual lineages back for centuries. All persons in the lineage are connected by a common thread, the mantra. Do you see the importance of mantras? Do you get what this means? And so in Krishna consciousness, when you join, say, for example, ISKCON, right? You are given a mantra, from what I remember. And these mantras link you to your guru or your teacher, okay? And this goes all the way down the line. So that's what they mean by spiritual lineage in this particular context. It is true that mantras will work whether or not one has been initiated because the sounds are directly linked to the activities of the chakras. But it is also true that a mantra charged by a spiritually advanced teacher can significantly cut the time needed for the mantra to have a deep-seated spiritual effectiveness. I'm going to tell you something. Because of the fact that we have, I love him, okay? And he was blessed that he walked among wonderful teachers. But we also know that we have some charlatans out there. So I want you to always trust the beautiful heart coherence that is your birthright in each and every incarnation you've taken on in these bodies. So if it doesn't feel right, I don't give a shit if 100,000 people, 100 million people are following someone. I don't give a shit. I care about your heart coherence. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. Okay? What you can do is raise your favorite mantra. That's what I'm being shown to. I'm actually being shown this for you, okay? So if you are not going to be initiated, if you are not going to be able to find a teacher because you'd have to, finding a good teacher is like finding a golden needle in a haystack. Let's be real, okay? They're not a proliferation. There's a lot of spiritual teachers, but we're talking about true masters, okay? So with that said, they're showing me that you would write the mantra on a beautiful piece of paper, a beautiful paper, like do it like an homage, okay? Do something, like take your time, do something gorgeous, okay? And then raise it to the universe, raise it to the sky, and ask the powers that be that only wish you love, kindness, and power, and love, unconditional love. Ask them, gather all of the energies. When I raise any energy to the sky, I say to the one of, I say grandmother sky, grandmother moon, father sky, grandfather sun, the one of 1,000 names, the one who created us all, Krishna, Buddha, the Bodhisattvas, Mary of Magdalene, Mother Mary, Yeshua, my ancestors from this life, past lives, future lives, across all times and incarnations, and only wish me love, kindness, and guidance. I beseech you, please download and upgrade new light codes through my crown chakra. Then put your mantra that you want to have charged with more power. And then raise it up and say, please upgrade this mantra for myself. Please activate it to new light codes that you know what I need. And then wait. Like raise it to the sky and wait. You may even want to put a crystal in the palm of your hand. Something you're directed to use, a particular crystal that you love, so that the crystal energy can actually augment the vibration of your request to have this mantra upgraded for you. So you're actually going direct lineage to God, to the universe, to source. And I would say that would be a way to upgrade your mantra. Okay, because I was just downloaded that image, so I'm sharing it with you. Let me continue. Ultimately, the mantra transforms the practitioner into a higher state. That state may be dramatically evident or entirely unnoticeable to the people around. Each case is unique. Many great spiritual teachers throughout history have initiated students through mantras. That's how important mantras are, my friend. And I'm glad that you guys are connecting, Anne and Polly. That's great to see. I saw that the Karma Pa, a total of 3 more times, once for the refugee ceremony, once for the Bodhisattva vow ceremony, and once more for another black hat ceremony 3 years later. I was on the West Coast 2 years after that when news of his passing reached me. He may have gone, but the mantra is ever with me. Beautiful. Wow. So this is Om, and I put it on my, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I put the Om Mani Padma Hum up there. Me and a friend of mine, Andromeda Flame, are working on creating a ceremony for April 8th. One of the mantras you may want to learn is the Gayatri mantra, which is it's considered the jewel of all mantras. And if you look up Deva Pramal, you can look up her mantra. You can look it up. It's Gayatri mantra and 432 hertz, and it's an 8-hour chanting that she does. Hang on for a quick second. I'm looking at what else. There was one that I came across that I wanted to share with you, which really shocked me, just so you know. I knew that Christ consciousness, not related to the religion, is very much a part of our ascension, okay, obviously. And bloody hell, I have to find this particular mantra that is chanted towards Yeshua. Oh, bloody hell, I hope I can find it. Hang on, okay, because I had it. And it just, oh, here it is. Okay, got it. Okay, let me go ahead and chant it for you. It's Om Yesho Kristaya Para Matmane Purusha Avataraya Namaha. This mantra states that Jesus is a true world teacher, a presiding soul of all souls carrying the authority of the divine. Mantra invoking Vajrapani, the protection of Dharma and great initiation. Okay, the next mantra is Hong Vajra Pe. Hong Vajra Pe. Tibetan Buddhist teaches that there is a sphere of consciousness surrounding our planet. Within this sphere are destructive forces that are sometimes called thought forms. These packages of negative energy created by anger, violence, terrible events like world wars, and other ignominious aspects of consciousness can cause havoc every day. Circulating like a blobs of oil within the ocean of consciousness, these bits of gunk need to be neutralized in some way. The Tibetan used the mantra of Vajrapani to dispense these items of consciousness gunk. In the aspect of protecting this pious and initiating those who qualify, the dark blue Vajrapani is shown holding a thunderbolt raised over his head in an outstretched hand. The face of the protector is terrible to behold, yet at the instant that the bit of negative energy has threatened the devout is neutralized, the visage turns to one of tender mercy, showing that Vajrapani is ready to initiate the seeker into the higher spiritual mysteries. You guys need to learn your mantras, and I'm learning them with you, okay? I think it's wonderful, and it's exciting to study this. I think I own pretty much damn near every book, Audible version and printback book of Thomas Ashley Farron. He was a Buddhist scholar, student, teacher, and he started excavating mantras and these wonderful teachings that are over 10,000 years old. When he was, I believe he was I think he was a teenage kid. I think he was 19, 20 years old. Let me see here. I think I'm going to go ahead and give you... Yeah, they're telling me I need to tell you a dream. Okay. So there was a vision after I did my medicine journeys with ayahuasca and bufo and the grandfather, okay? And they told me to tell you this story. So what I tell my clients who do this work, who go out into the jungles or go out to these ceremonies, is that just more doesn't mean better. The medicine will work through your body for months, years actually. So within 4 months after doing the medicine, I was being upgraded with light codes at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd see geometric light codes. I literally would, wake up, my eyes still closed, and I would thank them because I was being upgraded. One of the dreams I had was of the following. I saw a woman across the river sitting on a gray stallion. She had the most incredible teal turquoise eyes, huge teal turquoise eyes with auburn hair that fell way below her hips, that touched and grazed her thighs. She was astride the stallion. When I lowered my gaze to her mouth, she looked like Hanuman, who was the monkey god who protected Krishna. And so, for the purpose of this conversation, I will call her Hanuman's woman, though he did not have a woman, just to be clear, okay? I don't want you... But that was... I would not call her a monkey goddess. But her lower mouth was like a monkey. She was the most beautiful creature I'd ever seen, to this day. And she said to me, cross the river. I was on the riverbank. And I woke up. And subsequently, months later, she came back to me and again said, cross the river of consciousness. And I did. Now, what did that mean? Why did I hesitate? Because like you, I love the people who are in my incarnation, correct? You know, I love my son. I love the people that I love who are around me, right? Friends, family. And one of the fears many of you have is that if you cross into your higher ascension, that you will leave those you love behind. You can't help them if you are still in 3D. And so when I crossed the river, without looking back, I came to another level of conscious awareness, self-realized awareness and ascension, if you will. And I realized that in doing so, the people I love, the souls that adore me and I adore them, would actually benefit from me moving as a scout, scouting uncharted territories in this memory bank that I have, right? And so this Christ consciousness of moving forward for the collective sentient being is not to let them go. Don't mistake what I read before, which said that great masters stay behind. Great masters incarnate because they have the wherewithal not to be entrapped into the 3D amnesia dharma that sucks you down the drain of loss and darkness, right? These are great masters. Until you become that, until we all become that, you must cross the river. Don't mistake, you're not a master yet. Does that make sense? Does anybody have a question on that difference of when the masters return? They are so powerful. I don't know if you understand or if you've ever studied some of the masters, but I've actually on video seen a shaman in the jungle who at will dropped his body. And this is not something new. When masters come, they can literally leave their body at will. Like, it's time now. Goodbye. When Yogananda Paramahansa passed, there's a letter, if you've ever read the book, the autobiography of a yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, who established the self-realization centers all over this country. The coroner talked about how his body smelled like roses. I kid you not. It's in the book. And how his body was not decaying. They did not embalm him. So these masters have the ability to transcend 3D density, obviously, okay? So when you cross the river, it's for your benefit and the benefits of the soul tribe. I'm comforted to know that we will reunite when we have these bodies. The medicine helps us. It gets us when we need it. I feel ascension coming with the eclipse. Veil is thinning. Very much. Thank you, Beth and Anne, for those comments. I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. So those two realities of consciousness between a master coming back to help sentient beings to pull them out of the darkness of the collective darkness that we have been under. And again, being that it has been the darkest, and again, this is a beautiful line. I actually love this line because it's the truest line of all, is it is always the darkest before the dawn, always the darkest before the dawn. And we are going through the darkest points. It may even get darker, to be quite blunt, but that doesn't mean you throw in the bag and go, fuck this, I'm out. It means I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to work on my chakras. I'm going to work on my mantras. I'm going to visualize in my meditation. I will carve out 2 minutes a day. I'm not kidding. If 100 million people carved out 2 minutes a day, imagine this. 2 minutes a day of visualizing the new earth as it is. And the new earth is very similar. Many of us have the same type of desires. Many of people are creating communities, living off grid, living off the land, learning about herbal medicines, going back to the old ancestors, druidic knowledge, the old shamanic druidic wisdoms of how to heal oneself. Eating alkaline, I mean, that was just how people ate. When people passed, sometimes it was because of an accident, not to mention it was their expiration date. It was time to go, it was, longevity wasn't something that you have just to have. Longevity is quality of life. It's not longevity, it's the quality, it's the power, it's the joy. And so when wars became a reality on this planet, and we decided that this was part of the polarity of living in 3D, we lost our way. When we decided that there would be an imbalance of wealth, even with stories written about Robin Hood, and you've got stories written by Charles Dickens with A Christmas Carol. I mean, we've all read these books, we've all seen the movies, and yet we forget the injustice is not a polarity we can and should accept in this incarnation. Any questions or comments that you want to share to this discussion? Let me see. Yes, darkest before the dawn, I feel a big shift. I'm an herbalist. Nature heals. Nature heals. Yeah. And many of you, thank you for bringing that up. And many of you who were herbalists, who were healers, midwives, druids, druidesses, and so forth, were hunted down for that knowledge. You were hunted down like dogs. Okay? And so there might be this fear factor still trembling in your heart chakra or your root chakra. And you need to sit in meditation and ask your guidance to come out of this reverberating fear from the shadows of a past life or past lives. Don't think there was just one where you were hunted down like you were nothing more than an animal to be feared because of your knowledge, because of your power, because of your wisdom. Does that make sense so far? Let me pull out an oracle card. Last night we did Kali, and I'm digging, where the hell are my tarot cards? What the fuck's going on here? Let me see. Hang on for a quick second. Because it's right underneath my... It's funny. I'm having a senior moment. Let me go ahead and put this together. Total sense, right? Holy moly, I just woke up. Good. I'll upload this video. I've been uploading a lot of videos lately, So, all right. So we're doing the oracle reading for today. This is my gift to you. And if you want a reading, please, 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 okay? Do not get scammed. I'm not going to contact you. If you want a reading, go on tonybarca.com and you can schedule a reading. And I think, yeah. So let me give you, so I'm going to give you my website right here on About Me. And hopefully for a reading or past life hypnotherapy, okay? Or past life hypnotherapy, okay? I don't know. So I'm just going to put, I don't know. They have all these weird rules. I'm going to put .com because they're acting weird. They're not letting me put my website, which I think is bizarre. So let me just put that up. And then, okay, so when you're ready, and it's, let me see. And when you're ready, pick top, bottom, or middle. Top, bottom, or middle. Yeah, I already told my kid that she's going to be home for the 4 days during the eclipse. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do not, you guys, on April 8th, I would take the day off. I'm sorry. I would call in sick. My back went out. I don't give a shit what you say. If you know you can't take the day off because they're going to give you like cross-eyed, they're going to give you the side-eye glance bullshit. Yeah, I'm sorry. Call in sick. April 8th is a very important day, and we need all hands on deck. And this is this job won't mean shit in 10 years, in a year from now. Okay, so if you can, call in sick. I'm sorry. They're going to have to figure it out. Oh, they're short-staffed. I'm sorry. It's April 8th. In fact, honestly, we have banking holidays. This is the most important thing that has happened in memory. Okay, there's some shit they're doing that is I've warned you before. I'm not a doomsdayer. You know me. I don't doomsday. But red heifer, look up red heifer April 8th, 2024. Red heifer sacrifice. I'm not kidding. Look it up because this is not a joke. Okay? So if there was any day to call in sick, this is the day. April 8th. They're shorthanded. I'm sorry. We're talking about the planet here, folks. A day at work. Do you know that you're replaceable within hours? Hours. Okay, so let's not put the planet's life and abundant possibility on one day. That day can be handled by others who are, no offense, I'm not judging, asleep. Okay, you're not asleep. Okay, yeah. Thank you for the validation. I'm a nurse and I work 312 per a week. She's going to be home, and so are you. You're going to be home. You need to be home. I'm sorry. This is the day of all days. Okay, if you had a friend who had a heart attack, if you had a lover, a father, a mother who had a heart attack, your little butts would be, I'm sorry, my parent had a heart, I can't come to work today. Okay? You would take it seriously. And they would somehow understand. It's weird how they won't give you a day off to just decompress and recognize yourself and be with yourself and stuff. But I'm gonna put you on notice. It is important for when you wake up sometimes and you get a download of I need to stay home. Stay the fuck home. Okay? I had a friend on 9/11. Okay, on 9/11, she was a New Yorker. She now lives in Florida, but she is a big believer in transits. And on that transit, on September 11th, it told her not to come in. So guess what? She called in sick. It saved her life, okay, as you well know. So what I want you to do is to go ahead and consider April 8th as one of these important days. Okay, it keeps happening. It keeps booting me off. Oh, that's bizarre. I don't know why. I'm not booting you off. That's for. Meanwhile, I got some comments on this live to protect the community. If you guys don't, can you guys, the ones that don't agree with what I'm saying, could you recognize the freedom of speech that we all have? Could you maybe scroll on, because there's a lot of things I don't agree on many, I can't tell you how many lives, and I scroll on past it. In fact, if I'm really against the person, I block them so I don't get them on my feed. So block me if you don't like what I'm saying. Please do. Please block me. Okay? But if you are connecting with what I'm saying, take my advice. April 8th is a very sacred day. So on that note, let's go ahead and pull out an oracle. And when you are ready, pick top, bottom, or middle. Top, bottom, or middle. And let's go. Let's go. Let's begin. Shivaya. Middle. Okay, I need a consensus. Middle. Okay. Top, bottom, or middle? Top. I just want to see what is the middle. You got it. Middle. All right. So okay. 18. 18 in Kabbalah numerology is spiritual material conflict. So guess what? We just had that discussion. Do I call in sick? Do I not show up for work? That's a spiritual material conflict. Spiritually, I know April 8th is important, but I also need to pay my bills. And so what do? Right? And so that's spiritual material conflict. 18, by the way, is 9, God's perfect master number. And crown chakra energy. The connection of one of Kali's energetic frequencies with one of her sisters, Lalita Tripura Sundari. With luminous grace, she plays her ways into our hearts, softening hardness and despair, awakening the remembrance of light, of love, of joy. No matter what you have experienced, your heart shall be cleansed and released from ugliness, sorrow, and pain. Negative karmic legacies will be cleared away. Our divine sister goddess invites you to recognize her golden restorative beauty shining within your heart. Cultivate that which is worthy of such beauty, for this is your essential nature. Gracefully release all else with dignity. The third of the Mahavadya wisdom goddesses, Lalita Tripura Sundari, is a divine mother manifesting as a light, playfulness, and beauty. In the Shakti Tantras, or scriptures of the divine feminine, there are two schools. One school celebrates Kali as the primordial origin of the universe, and the other worships Lalita as such. Yet there are but two faces of the one divine mother. Lalita doesn't compete with Kali. She is boon-giving brightness. Lalita's presence in a reading is a reminder to play. Her sadhana or practice asks us to cleanse and heal our minds so we do not become consumed or overwhelmed by the suffering or ugliness happening in our world. Without denying, did you hear that? Without denying the dark side of human nature, we can look through the inner eye to see what is happening at a spiritual level. If we look for the inner spiritual truth, we will find divine beauty. That is the courage, kindness, selflessness, generosity, love, and strength that humans develop and express in response to their problems. Lalita is the power to recondition the mind away from agony into delight. This doesn't require changing the world, but rather seeing it differently. Instead of seeing humanity as a victimized, weak, ego-driven, and wounded, we can affirm humanity as a collective of spirituality, brave souls willing to incarnate and grow during a challenging time of spiritual obscuration on earth. There is divine beauty in such boldness of spirit. Internally, we shift from despair to awe, changing our chemistry along with our consciousness. As what takes place, we begin to vibrate energetically at a higher frequency. Challenges are recognized as means through which blessings can be activated. The mindset of the warrior fighting against darkness can shift into the mindset of the priestess, facilitating the increasing presence of spiritual light upon the earth. Same world, same circumstances, but different approach, interpretation, and response, which in turn leads to a different experience and future for us all. Sometimes we need the darkness, the feistiness of Kali and the warrior spirit. Yet at other times, the lightness of heart, the delight in mind, and the buoyant spirit are all that will open the way for us. For life to happen, we need both night and day, winter and summer, and everything in between. Lalita is the reminder to give due honor to the brightness and light, especially if we have been dealing with a lot of darkness. In a reading, Lalita Tripuri Sundari is a sign of good things intended for you. The ending of a truly difficult time is near, as a spiritual shift from the dark night of the soul into something of a golden era in your life. It is a promise of release into beauty and grace. Do your work to orient yourself, to shift your inner being, to be ready for her. What would it be like to dispense with worry and dwell within a continual infusion of golden grace? This is the way of Lalita. Be open to experience of rest, pleasure, and beauty, which can elevate our frequency and help you discover new solutions to old issues. Lalita helps the mind break free from poverty consciousness and belief in lack. Inner healing and transformation manifest through her playful energies. We become able to find delight and joy once more. Tripura translate to 3 cities and refer to the triple goddess as a virgin Bala, as a fertile woman Sundari, and as a crone Bhairavi. In a reading, this oracle indicates a change so radical and profound that it is irreversible. A previous chapter of your life is truly closing and will not be reopened. Did you hear that? A previous chapter of your life is truly closing and will not be reopened. This will be reason for celebration, for the intervention of Lalita in our lives brings only delight, joy, happiness, and fulfillment. Whatever you need to release right now shall create the space for what is divinely destined for you to manifest through her graces. You have every reason to feel hopeful. If you've been struggling with poverty consciousness or have lost a sense of joy and gratitude for your life path, Lalita is a portent of heart healing and restoration of grace, light, and dignity in your heart. You shall awaken to your true inner beauty. You shall enjoy a change of pace and a release from intensity. Open your heart and orient your mind towards a golden era, which is Satya Yuga, which, if you remember, we were talking about that in a guided meditation. Was it this year? I forgot. I think it was this year where we did the Satya Yuga guided meditation, which is, again, we keep having to hold on to our common vision of the new earth. We have to keep looking at 5D and the new earth. We are going to, let me just retract what I was going to say. We will fall into despair because we are filtering much of what we're seeing around us through the 3D mind and the ignorance of the 3D mind, the monkey mind. Hence the concept of chanting mantras I have clients literally saying, well, are you saying I should chant like all day long? Yeah. You're serious? Yeah. Because I would rather you chant a mantra again and again as you catch your monkey mind saying the most god-awful things or the most depressing things. I'd rather you chant a mantra than to hear that garbage in your mind reverberating and echoing back and forth and making you suffer. Yes. So when I was driving from here to California, you guys don't know, my car broke down from California to Nevada. It broke down. You've got to be bloody kidding, right? And I was able to find a mechanic in Utah who came out with a headlight on his head. I called it the third eye. Right off the bat, I knew the guy was brilliant. And he was able to monkey up and just do some kind of fucking miracles to get my car to work. And it took us all the way to New York. Now, what did I do? Because my monkey mind was saying, well, what if it stops? What if it stops in Nebraska? What if it stops in Ohio, right? And so what was I chanting? Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shanti Shanti. The whole, damn near the whole. If my monkey mind was going somewhere else that was negative, I was chanting, and blessing the car. And visualizing us in New York. Again and again and again. As soon as my monkey mind was trying to throw me off track, I was back into my mantra. And I was doing various types of mantras, by the way. As was my son. Okay? And everything you can imagine that was challenging happened. Okay? But we kept chanting the mantra together, individually, in my head, out loud, whatever. Okay? It was a harrowing experience. Why would I allow my monkey mind to help co-create shit? Why would I allow that? Because all of these emotions were really high-pitched. And it is emotions that create reality, right? And so this was very important for us to stay on the road. Something doesn't want me to be involved, keeps booting me off. I love your teachings. That is so weird. Thank you. You are always trying to lead me out of my warrior spirit. Maybe. I don't think so. I feel this is happening. I've been having crazy nights at work as I'm a nurse who works with dementia. Yeah, you got to chant and keep chanting and chanting, closing a chapter and opening a new book. Yes. I feel so much of you in me. Your voice is some that I've heard before this life. I hear you. I love you, Tony. Keep chanting. Exactly. So thank you, sweetheart. So since you're here, so there was a thing I had done on OAC since you are here, my friend. And I had I basically fucking, tore her down. And part of the thing is because I'd heard that she was not supporting ceasefire, right, at all. She did do a neutral on a vote for ceasefire. She did neutralize. In other words, she didn't vote. Okay, she was like neutral, which is, to me, no decision is still a decision. And so what I will say is that she is actively condemning what's happening. I will say that. So I was wrong in totally thinking that she was a turncoat. I think that in the political arena, unfortunately, you are taught to play games at their behest. And we still need people like Yeshua who kicked over the merchant tables. We need those people. We need them bad. And if we can't get them from career politicians, then it's up to us to vote for each other into high offices. That's what I'm going to say. In terms of OAC, personally, me, what I feel for her is shadowy, okay? But definitely, please don't let me influence you on what you feel about her, because there's a lot of data in the last since November where she is actually publicly talking about the what's been going on in Gaza and what's been happening. So April 8th, by the way, on the solar eclipse is got a lot to do with that, okay? What's happening in Gaza is, when you look up red heifer, April 8th, 2024, you'll see what I mean. You'll go down a rabbit hole that will shake you to your very foundation. CBS, CNN have reported it like I'm getting my nails done. They nonchalantly reporting. It's something so dystopian, I can't even tell you. But when some people start using things like that, rituals like that, you have to ask yourself, what the hell are they calling in? That's why April 8th is so important. I want to be careful because I don't want to be banned from TikTok, and I don't want to say things that would offend some of you. Those of you who are curious, who want to know more, will take my advice and look that up. Red heifer, April 8th, and what that means, and why people are losing their shit. I'm okay with you sticking with they should be kicked out, keep it clean. Yes, I chant all the time. It comes naturally at this point. Fantastic. Very good. Oh my God, April 8th, I feel it. Yeah, well, you better do some research on the red heifer and April 8th, because once you read what they're going to do that red heifer, you're going to go, what the fuck? It's the 21st century. What I will say is that David Icke, I don't know if you guys know who David Icke is, but if you don't know, I highly recommend you go on Gaia.com and check out his documentary on himself. You could call it an autobiography if you want. It's called Renegade. So look up David Icke and Renegade will come up. Check out Renegade. And a lot of things he has said has come true. What's kept him, he was banned on YouTube back during the lockdowns. I'll say that, enough said on that one. But I would love to hear what he has to say about the red heifer. I know Sasha Stone did a whole thing, a whole YouTube, I think it was a 2-hour session on his YouTube channel. It's called the Lazarus Initiative. If you want to look up a Lazarus Initiative on YouTube, or look up Sasha Stone, the official Sasha Stone, you'll see him. He was banned on YouTube for a while during the lockdowns. He lives in Bali. He's an amazing voice of reason and of justice. He actually formed the courts of injustice against humanity, or something. I'm paraphrasing very badly, but he had real judges who were presiding over something he had formed, a court of law, and people were coming and sharing some of the injustices and corruption going on around the world. And these were documented things that they, there was nothing they could do about it, right, in real time, if you know what I'm saying. But they were documenting all the data, recording all the witnesses, and then sending them to various countries and to say, here's the data, what are you going to do about it? Of course, we know what they do about a lot of this stuff. So what else? Yeah, look it up. I'm not going to talk about it here. I'm not going to talk about it. And it's called the red heifer, like a cow. Okay, I'm not going to talk about it here at all. I'm very careful because I remember once doing a live and I was literally banned for saying nothing. Okay, I was literally banned for 8 days. So just do your due. If I'm telling you what to look for, please look for it, and you'll find out. That's all you. Red heifer, April 8th. That's all you gotta do. Solar eclipse, and shit will come up, and hopefully you can connect the dots on that. I am going to upload, I think I'm going to try to upload my new Discord. As you know, it was pulled down by somebody else who wasn't aligned in frequency. And so I'm going to go ahead and upload mine and share the link. Hopefully we can start that, because I do have a Zoom group that I've put together. It's a very small group. I do have a WhatsApp group that I've kept together. That's a very small group. And if you want to join it, you can message me. But I usually want to chat with people before I let people join. And I'll tell you why. Because we're not going to be talking about twin flames all the time. We're talking about this kind of stuff, what I'm talking about. And then we can talk about with more freedom. and more. And at that point, I would fucking totally lay out what the red heifer meant. But I'm not going to do it here, not in this content. But if you want to follow, I've been talking about Patreon for fucking months. I'm so embarrassed, for like damn near a year. And so I need to do Patreon, and I'm going to set it up. So if you are not subscribed to me here, you will have the opportunity to subscribe to me on Patreon for $5.99 and $9.99. And if you want to do a reading once a month with me for $108 a month, you can actually get a reading from me once a month and get 2 text questions answered. So you would be on that track of, being able to connect with me and getting some guidance. Just 2 questions a month, a reading, 1 hour reading a month. And then of course you'd have access to the Zoom and all of that, all these other perks that would come to it, and so forth. And there's so I'm going to get on the ball now that I've moved to New York, and I'm up in upstate New York in the mountains, and in a very small village, and you might still hear cars. My house is right on like a roadway but I have my little plot of heaven here, and looking to work on that. It's important. Yes, be careful. I feel it. Yeah. So any other questions or comments that you want to share? Will you share photos of your small heaven? Yeah, when it starts looking good. I will totally share photos. I will probably do a live showing the land, at some point. But honestly, there's been some challenges where the former owners left a lot of stuff, garbage, to be honest, on the land. So I have to care for it with my son, and my son and I are aghast. So we're going to have to walk the land and clear it of debris and see if we can get a dumpster and get some things. I just, people just, it's funny too, because I was told by my guides about 3-4 years ago that I would come back to New York. And I was like, how in the fuck am I don't want to come back to that kind of thing. And then there would be land that needed healing, and that I would be the caretaker of that land. And here I am. I just realized that I'm speaking out loud to you about that. Here I am to be the caretaker to this land. I'm going to, gotta go, Tony. Wish you well. Absolutely. Would love to get together at some point. I absolutely, Beth. Absolutely. Fire. What was the live initially about? Everything. It was about mantras. It was about mantras. That's what it was about. But you know how I go off, right? So I'm going to pull a card from the Gita, and it's called the Gita Wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita deck. And I want you to, again, just like last time, I'm going to shuffle the cards, and we're going to see what comes out of it, okay? I'm not sure myself what's going to come out of it, but go ahead and pick from the top, bottom, or middle. And let's see with the mantra, because sometimes it's a mantra that's given, sometimes it's just a saying or a page from the Bhagavad Gita, okay? And when you're ready, top, bottom, or middle. Middle, bottom. Okay, keep going. I need happy the social engineering gods brought me here. Oh, fantastic. Middle. Shall we go with middle? I'm going to go with the middle path. All right, here we go. So this is called Immovable Himalayas. Immovable Himalayas. I'm giving you permission to message me I am from Socrates, New York. No, just go on my website. But yeah, you can message me and you can give me your number. You guys are saying bottom. I will also do bottom. I'll do both. What the hell, right? And I'll do top. I'm going to do all 3. What the hell? So let me start with the middle, which is called Immovable Himalayas. Chapter 10, verse 25. Maha Sirna Bruga Aham Giram Asmi Ikam Ak Samaram Ya Janaman Japa Ya Jonin Smi Sarvaranam Himalaya. O the great seers, I am Bigru of words. I am the syllable Om of sacrifice. I am Japa, the silent chanting of the holy names. And amongst immovable things, I am the Himalayan mountains. That was the middle. The bottom is this. It's called good qualities. Good qualities. Samodamas tapa, sokam, kranchi, arjamvam, evaka, janam, vijnamaha, asti kayam, brahma karma, swabhavajam. The Brahman's work is born of his nature and qualities, peacefulness, self-control, asceticism, asceticism, I can't pronounce this word, forgiveness, honesty, learning, wisdom, and a firm faith in the Supreme Lord. And the bottom is this one. Best of yogis. Yoginam api sarvesam mad gate nan taratam sadavan pava yomam sami yuktatamo mata. Of all yogis, the one who is filled with faith, his entire being given over to me, is the most intimately united with me and is the best of all. So these are from the Gitas. If you guys have never read the Battle of Kurukshetra, you might want to read it. They're telling me to tell you the story of Maya and what is Maya. I've just been told to do that. Socrates, nice. It's nice there during the autumn. I want to move to New English just for the autumns. That's really cool. That would be awesome. So let me tell you the story of Maya. Okay, I've told it before in a live, but it's probably the best story of what Maya is ever. You ready? Story time. Okay? All right. So Shiva was walking with his student across by a riverbank. And the student said, Shiva, show me, what is Maya? Tell me about Maya. I don't understand. How does Maya work? And he said, do you see across the river this farmhouse? And his student nodded. Would you get me a cup of milk? And when you come back with a cup of milk, I will tell you what Maya is. I will explain it to you. And so the river was low, it was drought season, so he wasn't able to go knee deep, and walked across to the farm, knocked on the door, and this elderly couple opened the door, and behind them was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. It was their daughter. She was so beautiful, and they ushered him in, invited him for tea and something to eat, and he explained that he was there to get a cup of milk. Could he have a cup of milk for Shiva? And they said yes. And before he knew it, he fell into amnesia, because suddenly it was dinner time and he was having dinner and he fell in love with their daughter. And before you knew it, he had married her. And before you knew it, he had children. And of course, the elderly couple, one by one, died. And now he had a crop, and the monsoon had come. And now he had a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old and a 1-year-old. And his wife was still the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. And suddenly there was a massive rain, and the rivers were flooding his farm. And he thought that maybe it was a good idea to cross the river, that maybe it was best to go back to the other side because his house was flooding. And so he held his wife's hand, who held the baby, and he held the 2 children, clinging to his body. And the river was so fierce that the 1-year-old was torn from his wife's arms, and she was so bereft she wanted to swim after the baby and let go of him, and was drowned with the baby. And one by one, each of his children were torn from his body, his arms. And he came to the crossing of the river, and he was on his hands and knees sobbing on the other side, on the banks of the river. And he saw the lotus feet of Shiva, and he looked up, and Shiva said, now do you understand what Maya is? Did you get my cup of milk? So it's interesting how we look at these incarnations as all the end all be all, that this is all we will ever be and all we will ever understand. When we look in the mirror at our physical presence, we see a mask. It's not who we really are. And quite often, if you ever remember being a child, and I don't know if you were aware of that, But I remember being 8 years old, looking in a mirror. I'll never forget, I lived in the south of France. I know exactly where I lived. I knew exactly what mirror in that house that we lived in. And I looked in the mirror and I felt like this was not me. Like, who was this persona? Who was this figure? Who did these eyes belong to? Who did this face, this olive skinned little girl, right? And it felt completely foreign to me. And so for many of you who are starseeds, this may have been something that maybe you didn't at that moment in time see, but you always felt this melancholy, this homesickness, this feeling of not being right in your skin. It's because you've had so many incarnations. Imagine looking in the mirror and here you are as a bearded, massive, brutish warrior. Imagine looking in the mirror and you are an Egyptian high priestess or a paraplegic man in India, in Calcutta. In other words, we've had so many, we've stepped into so many temples, we've stepped into so many faces, bloodlines, that it's no wonder sometimes we forget who our true essence is. And we tend to really believe that what we are in the mirror, what embodies, what wraps our bodies, our souls in these encased bones and flesh, forms, that's it. And it's an egoic framework. It's a personality. It's like giving, you got a script on a play, and today your name is Sally or Ben, and you're playing a role. And you've gone into makeup and they've made you up to look like anything, anyone. And suddenly you're playing this role. And we have to remember that. We have to remember we're playing a role. It's part of a play. And if you can remember that and then use your mantras to tap into, to plug into the universe consciousness, to get true and pure downloads, to be divinely directed on, okay, well, I'm in a play, and how do I want? Well, I want this planet to win. I want abundance for everyone. I want abundance for myself. I want to feel a sense of peace, of contentment. And I want that to be more of the norm for me and for others. And so in this play, you can decide who you want to be. You can be like, you can be like a character out of Wall Street, greed is good, and literally believe greed is good, and really believe that, having $700 billion is okay, or 70 billion, or 7 billion, or 6 billion, or whatever. And you can actually play this character that is so afraid, like Zuckerberg, so afraid that he's building $100 million, what is it? A hole in the ground to protect his life. Or you can be transcendental, which you are. Many of you are. Where you go, if this is my day, then this is my day. And you meet it with a grin. If today's the day, you meet it with a grin on your face. Wow, this was a hell of a trip. Yes, it was. Wow, so it's Maya is being so indoctrinated in the potentially, reality that is really not real, in and of itself, that you fall into massive depression and despair. Because the part of you, your soul knows this isn't real. Your soul knows it feels trapped. And you have to, as a good human being for yourself, you have to teach it that it's not a trap. We're here to learn. Don't worry about it. We got this. And it's temporary. It really is. You're not immortal, thank God, in these bodies. You know what I mean? Thank God we're not immortal in these bodies. Can you imagine? So it's kind of fun when you start seeing it like that. Bunker. Yes, you remember the Maya from the yes, absolutely. Thank you, Bunker. Yes. I can't help but feel that April 8th is going to be significant. Yes. So Maya, okay, is now a good example of what April 8th is all about. There are two realities being split. There are two paths being split. One is evil. I'll be straight up with you. This portal, get the time right. In New York, if Andromeda is still here, can you tell me what time we're supposed to do this on April 8th? It's something like 5:20 in the morning or something like that. It's 5:20, and you're damn right I'm waking up for that. What time is it? I think it's 5:20 in New York, in upstate. So my alarm clock will be on because the portal is opening at that time. Okay? So on one path, there's evil happening because this portal is very powerful. And on one path is us, people like us who are doing the work to escort the planet and our collective consciousness out of 3D into 5D. And you might say, well, are we there yet? You might be like a little kid going, are we there yet? There are massive doors that we have to walk through. Do you understand? There are massive rivers we have to cross. Cross the river, and then the next one, and then the next one. Will we see it all at once? Will it be like getting your nails painted, right? Or getting your hair cut? It's an immediate transformation. No, it is a subtle transformation. It is subtle and yet not so subtle. It's like planting a seed. Does it sprout within hours of you planting the seed? No. It takes weeks for it to breach through the earth to show its first leaf. Yes? So if that is true, then you cannot be impatient and go, well, that April 8th was nothing, man. Look at fucking nothing's changed. It will change. It does change. So don't denigrate your power to be of witness, to do all this incredible, they're telling me to say holy work. It's holy work to bring the planet to a new level of consciousness. And the evil ones, and they're evil. There's evil people. Okay, let's not play like everyone's kumbaya. Oh my God, you're such a, all souls are born good. No, some souls are shitty. I'm sorry. Some souls are shitty. And one of the things I loved about Michael Newton, going off on a tangent, I forgot if it was in his book, Destiny of Souls or Journey of Souls. One of his books talked about serial, killers or whatever. And in those books, he said that in the spiritual, which made sense to me, okay, it totally resonated. But he said when the souls do harm to others, massive harm like that, you are no longer part of your soul group. You are actually culled from the soul group. You are put in another realm, if you will, where you're taken care of. And what that means is that they're saying re-educated. They're saying, so yes, some souls are born with such evil that after a few turns of reincarnation and they've done massive harm to other people, they're not allowed to incarnate, believe it or not. And they're actually re-educated or recalibrated, cleansed. And it could take years, decades, hundreds of years before they're allowed back into the soul group. And what happens when a person is out of frequency with their soul group is you could see them, but you can't talk to them. It's like yelling help underwater, because your frequency is not a match to these lower frequencies, even if they are part of your soul group. Does that make sense? Okay. Let me see what you guys are saying. It was Journey of Souls. Okay. I feel like this is how do they become a serial unlivened as part of the soul group? Is it because they become corrupted? Yeah, they become corrupted. Exactly. They become corrupted. There's attachments. There are attachments. Okay? I mean, remember the Little Mermaid? I bring a lot of these fairy tales back, but remember the Little Mermaid? So she went down to the witch to give up her voice, right? For legs. Okay. Well, there are souls that have done these kinds of pacts because they needed to do things for the greater good, and it harmed them. And there was attachments, and some souls have been attached to demonic spirits. I'm being real, okay? This is real fucking life, my friends, in this realm. And they've been attached, okay? One of the things I can tell you about, what is it, Enoch? I'm trying to remember the name. Jesus, my mind is a sieve. I've been dealing with 4 hours of sleep for the past, I think, 3 weeks. Let me remember. Yeah, Enoch. Okay, so I never read the books for a reason. Thank God, because it helps with my downloads. There's a lot of things I don't read on purpose because I don't want to get that information to where I don't know if it was a real download anymore. I'm like, well, maybe I read this. So thank God I never read the book of Enoch. And I can tell you that the story goes that the angels came to make love to the human women. I'm sure you've heard of that. At least that much you've heard of. But I'm going to say that that's not what happened. There were twin rays in the angelic realms. They're showing me ninth dimension. And there was a pact to create a new human race. And they were duped. All of the females, all of their women were taken to 3D to create a human race, right? Whereas the masculines were kept up in the angelic realms. When they realized they'd been duped, okay, I'm not going to tell you by who, because again, some religious nut could come on this right now and ban me with saying some word shit. But suffice it to say that the fall of the angels wasn't what you think. It was a duping. It was that these women were brought. In other words, they went from the angelic realms to become humanoid, if you will, and because their DNA, the angelic DNA, needed to be part of this human genome that they wanted to create. They read Zachariah Stitchin's books, and these masculine angelics were bereft. They'd lost their twin rays, their partners, not twin flame, twin rays. And they came down to make love to their women. They didn't steal anybody's women. It was their women. They were coming back to couple with their beloved. Okay, that's the true story. And so there's all kinds of weird darkness that you can't be afraid of. You cannot be afraid of it. Because if you're afraid of it, it feeds off your energy. Watch David Icke, he talks about that. So you have to be irreverent. I remember, and I spoke about it in a couple lives, I was sleeping, I suddenly had all these weird, evil, like, skull-like, just weird energies coming into my dream. And I remember saying, get the fuck out of here. And I started chanting. I called on my 5 archangels, and I went, get the fuck out of here. And I protected my twin, I protected my son, not in that order, obviously, and my animals and the house. And I had sentinel angels, light being angels, titanic angels at the 4 corners of the house, the top and the bottom, to protect and to dispel any more of these energies coming in. We are being attacked in the material world by other outside forces. I was talking to my dear beloved friend, who is a powerful starseed in her own right, and we talked about the fact that they were using 3D challenges to throw us off our path, and to make us doubt, and to make us feel exhaustion, and to double down on material concerns over spiritual concerns, purposely. Okay, so when people are telling you there's a spiritual battle, they're not joking. And what's interesting is that a lot of people from different religious beliefs say that. Okay, so we're not all crazy when we say this. It is happening. Anyway, let me see this. So, any questions on that? When we are spiritual warriors, then we all figure it all out in the end. So we should chant that day. Which mantras? The mantras. If I were you, I would chant the Gayatri mantra. There's another mantra that is for healing the planet. Hang on. Sentinel angels. No, sentinel angels I think are different, honestly. I just call them sentinel angels because they're not archangels. They're like servants to the archangels. Does that make sense? And what they do is they're there for protection. And you don't see them like you would see archangels. You see them in their own, like, archangels show themselves to us in the way that makes us comfortable. Does that make sense? Kind of like when like your mom or dad die. They come back to us as the way we remembered mom and dad to be. They don't come back as a 6-year-old, whatever. Like I said to you before, I think I told you, Zale, is that I was doing a past life regression. I was doing a LBL, Lives Between Lives, and I saw a little girl. I knew immediately I knew that was my grandmother, but I saw a little girl with long braids, like caramel colored hair, running like full speed ahead, jumping into my arms, just wrapping her legs around my waist and her arms. That was my grandmother in her new incarnation. And she was so happy to see me. And she just hugged me and kissed my cheek and then jumped out of my arms and ran back to her group. It's like, I knew it was my grandmother because they knew I would recognize her essence. I didn't need to see my grandmother, 90 years old, 94 years old, walking towards me. I didn't need to see that. I would recognize her as she was. For whatever reason, my husband comes to me as he was. He's shown me, I've asked him in meditation, show me how you really are. Come on, show me. And he has. It's all this beautiful light, electricity, light, sparkling, it's beautiful. That's all of us. It says how we are in essence. When I see archangels, on the side note, to answer your question, Indigo, the archangels, when I see them, I see corners of them, like the corner of an elephant, right? The perception of an elephant, like you can see the trunk, but somebody else can see the rear and so forth. So I see like an eye, the side profile. I see them tilting their head back to look at me. I see in shadowy forms their whole persona, but it's very quick. It's like flashes. It's like thunder clapping in the sky, right? Thunder rushing. So it's like lightning coming in, right? It comes and it goes. And that's how I see them. With my guide, I see his eyes. I see the back of his head. I see him turning his head towards me. He's always calling me by my spiritual name. Whenever I hear my spiritual name being called, it's him calling me to a meeting, to a session with him. You know what I mean? So the Gayatri mantra would be a good mantra, but let me look at some other mantras that would be good that you can look up for. Hang on, okay? Let me see. There's a mantra that I'm being guided to show you, so I'm going to say it. It's called a Kala Chakra. Is the spirit of the wheel of time, the last teachings of the Buddha before his death. Chanting this mantra in a personal way will help you evolve more quickly. Chanting it for the planet will help the earth on her own spiritual journey. It is Om Ha Sa Ma Lava Ra Yam Sa Swaha. So that is a lot. It's a mouthful. But it's the Kalaksha. It's the Om Ha Sa Ma Lava Ra Yam Swaha. So that would be a great mantra for us to chant. We are going to open up. No, I can't spell it. I wish I could. What I could probably do is, let me see. I don't know what to do. Just message me and I'll just send you a screenshot if I can. Okay. But yeah, so that's one. And any questions on that? That's one. Let me see here. Let me see if I can do it but do a screenshot, okay? Because it's Om. I'm just going to do it. And then you got to kind of figure out Sa, Ma, La, Va, Ram, Va, Ra. Sorry, it's Ra. Yam, Swaha. Yam, Swaha. And you might want to do a screenshot. And actually, it's Om Ha Sa. Yeah, and of course, this is why I don't like to spell it because automatic. No, you didn't get it though because it's not correct. So forget it. It's the automatic writing. I'm really tired, so don't use that. Yeah, just message me and I'll give it to you correctly. There's another one that's very simple. That is very beautiful. That is called that is actually a Tibetan. It's one that is used in Tibet with Tibetan monks. It's Om Vaj Ra Satwa Hung. So it's a bright bluish white. This Tibetan positive thought form is used to produce mental clarity. In traditional Tibetan Buddhist meditation, a small white meditative figure is visualized sitting at foot over one's head. As the mantra is chanted, the figure sends a beam of white light into the top of your heads. Subsequently, all manner of foul mental thoughts and habits are released through the aura, chakras, and subtle body. The gunk is then absorbed into the earth, which knows how to recycle into usable energy. To use this mantra for the planet, chant it as you see the earth, releasing the gunk humanity has created in the consuming energy of sunlight. The energy of sunlight cleanses the aura of the earth every day. By our conscious efforts, we're quickening and concentrating the process. Let me send this to you, okay? Hang on. So it's Om, and I'm going to try not to have this bloody thing. Vaj. I like this a lot, actually. Vaj, Ra, okay. Sat, Wa, Sat, Sat. I think I'm going to go back to bed, you guys. It's been a long, long, long month. Let me just tell you. So, oh, yeah, right here. Well, that's it then. That's your mantra. That's the mantra you need to use. Okay? Did you get that? So you know what this is about. Okay, and then there's a mantra invoking Kuan Yin. And it's Namo Quan Chi Yun Pusa. Namo Quan Chi Yin Pusa. Kuan Yin is the Chinese feminine form of Avola. Oh, that's interesting. Avalokitesvara. Among the Buddhist archetypes, Kuan Yin is a source of great compassion. The consciousness may expand, the knowledge grow, and spiritual abilities manifest, but without compassion, these are little better than just dust or straw. Yeshua indicated this when he told us that without love we have nothing. It is the same idea here. The Kuan Yin mantra infuses the consciousness, envelops surrounding the earth with dynamic compassion, which manifests as grace and mercy. Chant the Kuan Yin mantra and know that you're contributing to the growth of the dynamic compassion everywhere. Isn't that cool? All right. Well, I think I'm done here. I hope this helped. This was quite a nice live. I thought, thank you for all being here. Thank you for your support. If you want a reading, please go on tonybarka.com. And it's, and I am going to get real about, my Patreon finally. I just was busy packing and busy doing this. So here's my website, tonybarka.com, for a reading for a past life hypnotherapy session. Definitely contact me. I usually chat for 5 to 10 minutes before booking a session. I don't have calandria. I could, but I don't, because I like to talk to you before I book a session with anyone, because I want to know who you are, what your intentions are, what you want to experience, whether it's through the hypnotherapy session. I'm internationally certified on that. In terms of the readings for twin flames or starseed or what have you, or to do an Akashik reading with me, I still want to do a talk, a quick chat, just to see where you're at, if I'm a good match for you, and so you can vibe me out. Not to mention with all of the charlatan shit going on, so you're sure that you're booking with me for that. That's actually the secondary reason. That it's also for your protection. But if you're outside the country, just send me your just send me your WhatsApp number with your country code. And I have clients in Dubai, Australia, South Africa, Ireland, England, Europe. It's not a big deal. We make it work, believe me. It's funny too. I had an Australian client where Monday is for Tuesday. We kept fucking up for a couple times, but we finally got it. Now we kind of nailed it now. I had a client who went from Australia to India, and we had to kind of... So sometimes with some of these clients, if they say, are you available now? We're like, yeah, let's do it now. And if I am available, then I do it. So anyway, hoping that, that helps. But please don't get hustled. I'm not going to contact you. All right. Thank you, Zaylee. Gonna refer you. That helps. But please don't get hustled. I'm not going to contact you. All right. Thank you, Zaylee. Gonna refer you